Ever wish there was like, I don't know, some kind of central hub for your online presence?
Yeah, instead of having your links scattered everywhere.
Exactly. A place to not only share those links, but also maybe some of your achievements, give it a bit of personality.
Right, like a digital headquarters that's more than just a boring list.
Okay, you read my mind.
Mhm.
And luckily for us, that's exactly what we're diving into today. The code behind Linkarooie.
We're going full on digital detective, sifting through the actual project files and everything.
So it's not just about what Linkaroo does, but how it actually works.
Think of it like this: we get to peek behind the curtain and see how the magic
I
happens.
like the sound of that. But before we get lost in the code, remind me what makes Linkarooie so special.
Well, on the surface, it might seem like just a really polished link tree alternative.
Which, don't get me wrong, would be cool in itself. Customizable links, icons, all that good stuff.
Oh, absolutely. You can even pin your most important links to the top. But where Linkarooie really shines is in the details, the stuff most users might never even see.
Okay, now you've got me curious. What's going on behind the scenes?
Let's just say Dean, the creator, is a big believer in data.
Data.
He's built in some really impressive analytics. We're talking page views, unique visitors, even what browser people are using and where in the world they're visiting from.
Wow, that's granular. I mean, I can see how that would be useful for businesses, but what about for, say, an individual user?
Think of it this way. Imagine you're an artist sharing your portfolio.
Okay.
With Linkaroo's analytics, you wouldn't just see how many people visited your page, but which pieces they clicked on the most, where they're located.
So you could actually tailor your work based on what resonates most with your audience.
Exactly. It's like having a built-in focus group for your online presence.
That's incredible. It's one thing to just have people click your links, but to actually understand who they are and what they're drawn to, that's next level stuff.
Exactly. And it speaks to Dean's vision for Linkarooie. He's not just making it easy to share links, he's empowering users to build a real online presence, backed by data.
Okay, I need to know more about this Dean character. What kind of person builds something like this?
Well, based on his notes in the code, he's got a great sense of humor.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah. We're talking witty comments next to complex algorithms. It's refreshing, honestly.
I can imagine. Coding can be pretty intense. A little humor probably goes a long way.
Tell me about it. But yeah, based on his code, we're talking about someone who understands analytics, design, and clearly knows how to write a clean line of code.
So he's like a developer triple threat.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. His profile mentions a passion for AWS, DevOps, open source. This is someone who's deeply embedded in the world of tech.
This is shaping up to be more than just a deep dive into an app. It's a glimpse into the mind of a multi-talented developer.
And you can tell this is a passion project for him. He's even built in this whole achievements section, like a digital trophy case, but personalized.
Interesting. What kind of achievements are we talking about? Like, is he showcasing coding awards or something?
It's actually a really interesting mix of professional and personal achievements, which I think speaks to the whole idea behind Linkarooie. For example, he's got one for becoming an EWS certified developer.
Okay, so that's the impressive tech cred. Makes sense.
Right, but then there's another one for becoming an ambassador for this open source community called EddieHub.
EddieHub. What's that all about?
They're all about DevOps, which is a fancy way of saying they help companies build and deliver software quickly and reliably.
Ah, got it. So back to Dean being an ambassador. Is that a big deal in the open source world?
It definitely shows a commitment to giving back to the community. And of course, Dean being Dean, he jokes in the description about being version 0.2 of an ambassador, not quite 1.0 yet.
I love that. It's like, yeah, he's got these impressive credentials, but he's not afraid to be a little self-deprecating.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating. He's not just showcasing his accomplishments, he's sharing his journey with a sense of humor. It's like,
Hmm.
what if LinkedIn and Linktree had a baby, but with a personality?
Okay, that's an image. But it makes sense. He's combined professional branding with personal expression in a way that feels very him.
Precisely. And it all comes back to those analytics we were talking
Yeah.
about. Because not only can he showcase his achievements, but he can actually track how people are engaging with them.
Wait, seriously. So he can see which achievements resonate most with his audience,
Mhm.
which links get the most clicks, all that good stuff.
You got it. And that kind of data is pure gold. It's like having a direct line to what people find interesting about you and your work.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It's like having a personal marketing team working behind the scenes, except you don't have to pay them.
Exactly. And here's the kicker. He built it all himself. Speaking of which, we should probably talk about some of the tools and technologies he's using because, let me tell you, Dean is not messing around.
Okay, before we do, I need a little disclaimer here. My coding knowledge is, well, let's just say it's a bit rusty.
No worries.
Hey, can you break it down for those of us who wouldn't know Ruby on Rails from a roller coaster?
Absolutely. Think of it this way.
Okay, my brain is still trying to process all that amazing stuff about Dean and Linkarooie.
I hear you. It's a lot to take in.
It is, but I'm ready for more, especially now that we're about to dive into how Linkarooie actually works. Like, the tech behind it all.
It's surprisingly sophisticated stuff, even for someone like me who looks at code all the time. Dean's using some really clever techniques.
Oh, I believe it. So, like, what kind of things really stood out to you? Any cool tech we should know about?
Well, remember how we talked about Linkarooie being designed to handle, like, a lot of traffic?
Yeah, like he built it to be super scalable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's using this tool called Docker to make that happen.
Docker, huh?
All right.
Okay, for those of us who haven't hopped aboard the Docker train, what is that exactly?
So imagine you've got this app, right?
Yeah, Linkarooie in this case.
Right. And you need it to run smoothly on, like, really powerful computers in the cloud so it can handle tons of people visiting at once.
Okay, sounds.
Docker's like this magic wrapper that lets you take your app and run it anywhere on any machine without any compatibility headaches.
Okay, so it's like taking Linkarooie on the go, but in a super high-tech way.
Exactly. It's like the difference between trying to move a whole house versus just packing up your stuff and moving into a new place.
That is a fantastic analogy.
Right. And it's how sites like Etsy, for example, can handle millions of users without breaking a sweat.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. So, besides this whole Docker thing, what else caught your eye when you were poking around the Linkarooie code base?
Honestly, I was really impressed with how much thought he's put into backups.
Backups, huh?
Yeah, because imagine if all your data just disappeared.
Oh my gosh, don't even say that.
Yeah.
All those links, the analytics, everything gone.
Poof. But Dean's got you covered. He's using something called DigitalOcean Spaces, which is this cloud storage thing, and he's automated the entire backup process. So every piece of data is safe and sound, even if his computer spontaneously combusts.
That's a comforting thought. Because as much as I love geeking out over the fancy features, reliability is key. You don't want your whole digital life held together by duct tape and hope.
Tell me about it. And speaking of fancy features, can we talk about those open graph images for a second?
Okay, you're going to have to refresh my memory. What are open graph images again?
So you know how when you share a link on social media and it has that little preview image with the title and description?
Oh, yeah. It looks so much better than just a plain link.
Exactly. And Dean's audited the whole process of creating those for Linkarooie.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, so when you set up your page, it automatically pulls in stuff like your profile picture, your name, even some of your interests from your profile, and it uses all that to make a custom open graph image for you.
No graphic design degree required.
Nope. It's like magic, but with code.
He really has thought of everything.
And here's the really impressive part. He's even using this open source library called Mini Magic to make sure those open graph images look extra sharp and polished.
Okay, now that's dedication to detail.
Right. And it shows how much he cares about the user experience.
Totally. But let's be real for a sec. No software is perfect.
Oh, absolutely not. Bugs happen.
So what happens when something goes wrong with Linkarooie? Has Dean planned for that?
100%. He's all over error handling, and he's doing it in a really smart way.
Oh, how so?
Well, he's built in this concept called graceful degradation.
Graceful degradation. That sounds pleasant.
It is. Basically, it means that if something goes wrong, the site won't just crash and burn. It'll try its best to keep working, maybe with a helpful message to the user instead of a scary error code.
Okay, so it's like instead of the whole house of cards collapsing, maybe just one card falls over.
Exactly.
That's a relief. Because nothing's worse than being excited about a website and then bam! Error message from the digital abyss.
And on top of that, he's got this whole logging system set up.
Logging. Like chopping down digital trees.
Not quite. It basically keeps a detailed record of everything that's happening behind the scenes. So if something does go wrong, Dean can go back through these logs and figure out exactly what happened.
So it's like a digital detective story.
Exactly. He can follow the clues and solve the mystery of why something went wrong.
This Dean guy, he's not just building a website, he's building a self-monitoring, self-healing system. It's impressive.
He's definitely got the developer chops. But remember, this whole project, the fancy code, the clever features, everything, it's all open source.
Oh, that's right. He's sharing it with the world.
Which means anyone can look at the code, learn from it, even take it and build their own version if they want to.
That's incredibly generous. So this deep dive, it's not just about admiring someone else's work from afar. It's about sparking ideas.
100%. He's not just sharing Linkarooie, he's sharing his knowledge and passion with anyone who's interested.
That's really cool. And I think that brings us to a really interesting question for our listeners.
That's that.
What if you applied these same principles, the personal branding, the data, the open collaboration, to your own online presence? What would that look like?
Now you're thinking.
So we're back, and honestly, I'm still kind of blown away by everything we've uncovered about Linkarooie.
It's been quite a journey, right?
Totally. Like, we started out just wanting to explore this cool app, and now we're knee-deep in code, talking about Docker and graceful degradation.
And laughing at Dean's jokes.
Don't forget the jokes. But it's true, this whole experience has been surprisingly inspiring. I mean, who knew a deep dive into a code repository could be so, well, human?
That's the thing about Dean, though. He's not just a brilliant developer. He's a real person with a vision. And he's managed to infuse that humanity into every aspect of Linkarooie.
It's like he's taken something as technical as building a web app and made it personal, approachable, even a little bit whimsical.
Exactly. And the fact that he's open sourcing it all, sharing his knowledge with anyone who's curious, that's just incredible to me.
Seriously, it's like he's saying, hey, if you can dream it, you can build it. And here are the tools to help you along the way.
And that brings us back to something we were talking about earlier about applying these principles to our own online presence.
Oh, right. So it's not just about admiring Dean's work. It's about, like, what can we learn from this?
Exactly, because the ideas behind Linkarooie, this blend of personal branding, beta, and open collaboration, it could revolutionize the way we present ourselves online.
I'm already thinking about how cool it would be to have a portfolio website that tracks which projects get the most attention. Or a resume that's not just a static document, but a dynamic hub showcasing your skills and achievements.
Imagine if students could use Linkarooie to create these amazing online learning journals, tracking their progress, sharing their discoveries, collaborating with classmates.
Okay, now you're blowing my mind. The possibilities are endless.
They really are. And the best part is you don't need to be a coding genius to get started. Dean's given us the blueprints, the tools, and a whole lot of inspiration.
So I think it's safe to say this deep dive has been a success. Not just because we learned a ton about Linkarooie, but because it sparked something bigger.
Totally agree. It's shown us that code can be creative, technology can be human, and sharing your work with the world can lead to amazing things.
Well said. So, to our listeners, we leave you with this. What will you build? What kind of digital masterpiece are you going to unleash upon the world?
And remember, don't be afraid to make it personal, to infuse your own unique style and vision into everything you create.
Because that's how you stand out, that's how you connect with people, and ultimately, that's how you make a real impact.
Well said.
And on that note, it's time for us to sign off. Thanks for joining us on this incredible deep dive. We'll catch you next time.